After you'll see the offers we offered in 2000 and 2008, you'll be like, holy, they are so stupid for not approving, for not agreeing.
I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to be fluid with my thought. That's the only way we can move forward as a humanity.
Perfect. Before we have a conversation, I just need you to know that I'm a streamer, and
Okay.
and this conversation is recorded because I use it for content. So if you don't want to be on stream, tell me.
That's all right, brother.
Perfect.
Are you from America?
I'm from Israel, and I actually talk about Israel-Palestine on my video.
Perfect.
Why?
I love Israel-Palestine.
What do you know about it?
I mean, I'd like to think I know a good amount, but I mean, ask me something, I'll tell you what I know about it.
Do you think the war that Israel is conducting right now in Gaza is justified? And if you think it's not justified, I want you to tell me why.
All right. So obviously Hamas attacked, right, on October 7th.
Yes.
Okay. That's wrong. Push them out of Israel, get back to Gaza, and then go from there. You have to understand, why did Hamas attack Israel?
Why?
Why do you think?
I think they attacked Israel because of religion, not because of land. Of course, it was never about land for the people living in Gaza, for the people living in Judea and Samaria. It was never about land because we offered land back 6 times. We tried to offer land, a ridiculous amount of land. And it was never about land for them because they refused every single time.
When was it? When did you offer?
So the biggest amounts of land that we offered were in 2000 and 2008. 96% of the land, exactly what they requested. The remaining 4% that we left for ourselves was for security purposes, meaning so Jordan never attacks again. So Egypt doesn't attack again. So we took specific areas that we wanted to keep for security purposes. But they refused.
When you say Jordan, Egypt, what do you mean by that?
Do you know the map of the Middle East a little bit?
Yeah.
So,
right, but if it was for the Palestinians, then they would have the West Bank and Gaza, right?
When I say Judea and Samaria, I mean the West Bank. But
the West Bank.
The West Bank is the West Bank of Jordan.
Right, but it would be Palestinian land.
Right.
It'd be controlled by the Palestinians.
It would be an Arab land technically because Palestinians don't actually exist. They're Arabs.
Okay, they're people that call themselves Palestinian, I think.
Yeah, but they call themselves Palestinians to erase the Jewish history of the land, to make it seem like we are the colonizers and they're the colonized. So it's an identity formed by Yasser Arafat in 1964 to start an agenda of being oppressed, of being invaded, which is false. Which is false because most of the Arabs in the land came during the Ottoman time and during the British Mandate time to work for the Brits and the Ottomans.
Right, but that was before the state of Israel.
Right, but if you want to talk about before the state of Israel, then you have to mention the fact that Jews have lived on the land for 3,000 years in Jerusalem, in Hebron, in Tzfat, in Tiberias. For 3,000 years, never left.
What about the Arabs that were there for hundreds of years?
What about the Jews that were there for thousands of years?
Sure, they were there too.
So were they Palestinians?
I would think they would just consider themselves Arab Jews.
No, you can't be an Arab Jew. You can't have two ethnicities at the same time. Jews, Christians, and Muslims are different because Jewish people.
No, they're not at all. It's a religion.
Where do Native Americans come from?
America. They come from the land of America.
Terrific. Where do Amazirs come from?
Amazirs, Amazonian people from the Amazon.
They come from Morocco, Algeria. That's their indigeneity.
What are they called?
Amazirs.
Amazigh, okay.
Where do Aboriginals come from?
Australia.
Perfect. Where do Jews come from?
They originated in the Middle East, just like all of us. But then, what about the Jews that are Russian? What about the Jews that are? I mean, there's white-skinned Jews.
All of them originated from a place called Judea, which is the former name of Palestine. The Jews that were kicked out by the Romans, they wanted to completely eradicate the Jewish presence and they wanted to completely disassociate the name from the Jews. So what did they do? They called the land Palestina, Syria, to mock the Jews. That's why they did it. It's like renaming the name of Israel to Hitler. It's the same thing. To mock the Jews.
All right, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, let's say there was no anti-Semitism in the world, right? The
Yes.
Jews that migrated to Europe were accepted as Europeans, right? They could wear their tefillin,
They were
wear their
never
kippahs.
they were never accepted as Europeans.
I'm saying hypothetical here,
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
Hypothetically, would those Jews feel the need to go create Israel? Would those Jews feel that they're anything other than Russian?
Yes, because Zionism did not start in 1897. Zionism started 3,000 years ago when Jews were exiled from the land by the Romans. Zionism is the
But
act
it
of
wasn't a serious thing.
no, of course
It
it
was
was.
taken
Of
seriously
course
due
it was
to
a
the
serious thing.
Holocaust.
Of course it was a serious thing because it didn't start in the Holocaust. It started before the Holocaust. So 1897 started 50 years before the Holocaust.
Yes, but there were still pogroms, and my hypothetical doesn't exist because that never happened.
Can you tell me why people hate Jews?
I don't know, racism. Same reason people hate blacks or any other race. They just hate them out of ignorance.
Maybe because they're a successful minority and they're doing well with everything they touch. Maybe because they have a bunch of Nobel prizes. Maybe because the
Well,
fact that they
I think it goes way back. I think it goes back farther than that. I think they were always a minority, and people hated them. And then the Christian religion teaches that the Jews killed Christ, so that's
actually no,
people.
real Christians don't teach that.
Okay, yeah, but I grew up Christian, and
Who killed
that's
Christ? Who killed Christ?
the Jews.
The
That's what we
Romans.
that's what we know.
The
The
Romans.
Roman the Jews though, but they were Jews. They were Roman
The
Jews.
Romans were Jews. How were the Romans Jews? The Romans were the people that exiled the Jews from the land.
Yes, but there was. What about the
So
Jews that
Jews
stayed there? There were
exiled
Jews that
Jews?
stayed there. They're Jews. There were Jews that stayed in the Holy Land.
Right, they're Jews that never left because of the connection to the land, but you can't say that Romans were Jews and they kicked other Jews. It makes no sense.
No one's a Roman. Romans don't exist. It was just a national identity of the time.
What are you talking about?
So where was Jesus killed?
Judea.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if he was killed, then who controlled it at that time?
It was once
The
the
Roman
Ottomans,
Empire.
it was the Brits, it was the
I'm saying
Byzantines, it was the
when
Islamic
Jesus was
Caliphate.
killed. When Jesus was
The
killed, who
Romans
controlled?
killed Jesus. The fact that you say that the Jewish people killed Jesus is to put some sort of a label on the Jewish people so they can be hated.
I'm not saying it's wrong or right. Just because religion is an evil thing, I believe. I'm an atheist. The Bible says that the Jews killed Christ. So then people will take that and hate the Jews for no reason other than they believe in Christianity. That doesn't mean it's right to hate Jews because of the Bible. You're a Jew. What do you have to do with killing Christ? Nothing. Nothing. You have nothing to do with that. That you didn't have anything to do with that. The Jews of 200 years ago didn't have anything to do with that. The Jews of 500 years ago didn't have anything to do with that. But that's just that's why I believe part of in history, Jews were always hated. I also believe they're hated because they were minorities who were kicked around the palace settlement, right? And then the Catholics couldn't deal with their own money, so they handed it off to the Jews, and then the Jews become rich. And then, there's another reason to hate the Jews, whether it's rooted in reality or not. Doesn't matter that they're hated. That's just a reality now.
Okay.
So I don't think it's right. I'd like to believe we can move past that. I mean, anti-Semitism is at an all-time low in America.
How is it relevant to what's happening between Israel and Gaza and the West Bank?
It's not, but I was just saying, if anti-Semitism didn't exist, Israel would not exist in my opinion.
If all the Jews on the land of Israel would have converted to Islam, not a single war would have started against the people living here. And I asked a bunch of Muslims, they all said, "You're right. Why would it?" I said it's about religion. It has nothing to do with land. Has nothing to do with colonization, because this is the biggest decolonization that the history has ever witnessed.
How many Jews were in the Holy Land for?
How many?
The,
Before 1948,
yeah.
13%. But a lot of them immigrated a lot. A lot of them immigrated after the Holocaust. A lot of them immigrated between the year 1900s. It doesn't matter. It's the same with the Arabs. A lot of them immigrated after the French forced them to dig the Suez Canal. And they didn't want to do it, so they escaped to work for the Ottomans.
Right. So when was the last when the Jews were kicked out in what I believe 77 AD from the Holy Land?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what? I mean, that's 2,000 years ago.
I told you the Jews, and there was some point in history where Jewish people were the majority in Jerusalem. The majority. Under Islamic rule, Jews could not have gone to their holy sites. They could have gone in some cases to only the seventh step as a sign of disrespect. When Jews control Jerusalem right now, all religions can practice their religion equally. The Muslims can go pray in Al-Aqsa, the Christians can go to the church and pray, and the Jews can go pray in their holy sites. So I'm not understanding why people around the world have such a difficult time that the Jews have a place they can call home, a place they're connected to, a place they've been yearning to go to for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and people have a problem with that. I don't understand why.
Well, because the Palestinians want a state of their own,
And
that problem's not going to go away.
But the Palestinians are Arabs.
Whatever you want to call them, man, they're Arabs. Yeah, the Arabs are from fucking Morocco all the way over to Saudi Arabia. There's many Arabs in many lands.
Okay, so what's the problem of having a sliver of a Jewish state in the Middle East? What's the problem?
I don't think there is. I believe in a two-state solution. I believe that the two-state solution is how I think it should be solved.
But two-state solution was already on the table for many, many times, and they refused every single time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that maybe there. I don't know much about that. I'm not going to lie, so I'm not going to talk like I know anything about it. But I think it doesn't matter about the past. I think we have to look forward to the future.
It's impossible because only one side is looking at the future and wanting peace, and the other side wants death and to eradicate the Jews. I know it may seem difficult to understand it from abroad and from the United States, from a westernized country, but this is what Islam is. Islam wants to dominate. Islam wants to remove Judaism. I spoke to many Muslims before you, and they teach one thing. The Jews are the lowest lives of them all, and they should be eradicated. And I asked many Muslims, what happens if all of us convert? And they said, nothing happens. You guys are Muslims. Why would we do anything against you? You have to understand, it has nothing to do with land. You say it's because they want to live there. If they want to live there, why didn't they fight for their land? Why did a lot of people leave? A lot of them flee in 1948.
Have they not been asking for a land, though?
Of course they have.
I saw an article, and I could be wrong. I might pull it up, but I saw an article. I don't know. Is Sinwar the Hamas guy that was assassinated?
Sinwar is still alive. The Hamas guy that was assassinated is Ismail Haniyeh.
I saw an article that said that he wanted a two-state solution along 1967 borders.
Can you tell me if that's your claim, if they wanted a state according to the 1967 border, why was the PLO created in 1964, 3 years before the 1967 border? Why was it created in 1964 to liberate Palestine if they want to go back to the borders that they themselves posed?
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Do you know a YouTube channel called The Asked Project?
Of course.
So he put it in a way that really resonated with me. He said, or I watched a live stream with his Palestinian translator, and she said that all Palestinians say that we want the whole land, but we know deep down that we can only have 67 borders. Like it would be against our code of ethics to say that we want anything less than the whole land. So I understand I understand how it sounds, but I do think that do you think a majority of Israelis would accept the 1967 borders with Palestine?
After what happened on October 7th, I know that they wouldn't accept.
What about before that? Do you think that
even before that, listen, October 7th is not the only incident that happened. It's not the only event that happened. We've had a terror attack in Israel almost every single day. Every single war that started from Gaza started by the Gazans. You cannot name a single war since 2005 when Israel disengaged from Gaza where Israel started. You can't. It's always them shooting rockets.
Well, I know there's the 2014. I think it was Protective Edge.
Okay, started by getting rockets into Israel. Does that give you legitimacy to start a war with a country with an entity that's firing rockets at your country?
Right, but then you guys go and carpet bomb them and kill scores of people.
How come? Isn't carpet bombing? Doesn't it mean that a lot of people are supposed to be dead in carpet bombing?
Yeah, how many people were killed? Like 20,000?
Right now? When? In 2014?
No, yeah.
Maybe 1,000 something?
No, dude.
Of course. Well, let me check.
Over 10,000, bro.
No. And even if over 10,000, that was mostly Hamas.
Well, who's Hamas? Males over the age of 18 are considered Hamas?
Every person that participates in activities associated with Hamas, meaning if you fire rockets, you're considered Hamas. You're carrying a weapon, you're considered Hamas. If you're a child aiming a weapon at a soldier, then I have a right to shoot at you. An international law right. It's legal.
What about people who know Hamas members?
Who know Hamas members? No, I don't think anybody like this would be shot. But you have to understand that Israel always works according to international law. And the reason I know that is because I was an IDF soldier. And we had very specific procedures about opening fire.
When were you in the IDF?
2014 to 2017. I actually got drafted
Okay.
at the end of the war.
Okay. So I have it. This is also Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. You were right, though. It said 2,300 killed.
Yeah.
I was way off.
So just so you know, even now.
What was the other one though? There was another.
There was
one,
another one. I think in 2018 there was another one. I don't think there was a ground invasion.
2008.
2008 was yes, 2008 was the first one. But 2008 Gaza war also started after rockets being shot to Israel. By the way, the attacks that we do on Gaza after they attack us, they're meant to remove the missile threat.
Okay, so 1,500 and 2,300 killed.
I'm seeing 1166 to 1400.
Yes, on Wikipedia, which take it with a grain of salt, like us, you know. But I mean, what, and then you see then 50,000 Gaza residents displaced, 4,000 homes destroyed, 2 billion worth of damage to Gaza.
But yeah, go ahead.
What about the blockade?
So let's talk about the blockade because that's an interesting one. So the blockade that you're talking about actually would have never been posed if Hamas would have not been elected by the Gaza civilians. So in 2005, Israel decided they wanted peace with the Gazans. 2005, they started an operation. They started a thing called the disengagement.
I understand they withdrew theirs. They took Gush Katif
exactly.
left in 2005.
Exactly. 8,000 to 10,000 civilians were evacuated from their homes and literally ripped out. They didn't want to leave. 2006, Hamas was elected by the Gazans.
Okay, so hang on. So do you see how that can be a problem, though?
What?
I understand that but as soon as Hamas is elected, then you impose a blockade.
No.
Like saying
it wasn't in 2006 though. Hamas was elected.
You just said that though. You said as soon as Hamas was elected, Israel imposed a blockade.
It was a year later. 2006, Hamas was elected. 2007, they started firing rockets at Israel, and then they realized, holy shit, what did we do? In 2007, Israel and Egypt decided they put a blockade to make sure that when they get trucks going into Gaza, they're not getting weapons, they're not getting explosives, they're not getting rockets, they're not getting ingredients for rockets and missiles.
So you're telling me as soon as Hamas was elected, there was no blockade?
No. 2005 to 2007, not a single blockade. People could cross freely.
So January 2006, they won the election.
Yes.
And then when did the blockade start?
2007.
It says restrictions were imposed in the early 90s, and after Hamas took over in 2007, Israel significantly intensified existing movements.
Yeah, 2007. That's what I said.
Right, but I mean, why can't they have a country, man? Why can't there be? I mean, if that, what was the guy's name again that got assassinated?
Ismail Haniyeh.
On November 2nd, he said if Israel agrees to a ceasefire.
So tell me why tell me why they refused, why Hamas refused to 20 plus ceasefires put on the table by Israel and the United States. They refused every single time, including the last one.
Me and you both don't know that. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what goes on.
We know.
It would be impossible.
We know. You know why?
Why?
Because the moment they give back the hostages, they have no more leverage. Israel gave one term. They said if Hamas breaks the ceasefire deals or is delayed with releasing the hostages, we have a right to start the war again. Because Hamas messed up on the previous deal that they did. Hamas was taking a long time to release hostages. So Israel put a term.
I mean, where are you getting this news from? I mean, do you not think? I mean, we have to take this all with a grain of salt because we're not getting it from the source. And when it comes to the ceasefire,
where do I know this? Because I don't take my information from the media. I don't trust the media. I don't believe the media. The media tries to force a specific narrative into our minds, and I don't believe in that.
So then, where do you get it from?
I get it from sources on the ground, like Telegram. You can also understand from the history. The history teaches a lot about the conflict.
All right, what about history teaches a lot about the conflict?
History teaches that these people never wanted a ceasefire. These people never want to go to the 1967 border because at the end of the day, why would you form the PLO 3 years before a single settlement was established? Why would you? What do you want to liberate Palestine from?
I think back in the day is a different story than now, though.
Why?
It just because it's just so much time has passed. I mean, back then, I mean, that was fresh. I mean, from 1948 to 68 is only 20 years.
Judea and Samaria was fully conquered by Jordan between 1948 and 1967. Why were they not trying to resist the Jordanians that occupied them?
They weren't trying to resist the Jordanians?
They were not trying to resist the Jordanians. Why did they
Then
not
why is
try?
that not part of Jordan now?
Why? Because
Yeah.
because Jordan don't want them. Jordan don't want them, and Egypt don't want Gaza. That also controlled Gaza from 1948 till 1967. They don't want it. Israel
Jordan,
offered it back.
West Bank?
Of course.
Or does Israel, I mean, do you think Israel wants the West Bank?
Of
Or
course.
do you think,
Of course not. These people are not willing to share the land. They're not.
no, do they want it without the Arabs, though? Do they want, I mean, why are there so many settlers there?
But the settlers are in the settlers are in disputed territory. There's Area A, Area B, and Area C. So the settlers are in Area B and C, not in Area A. Area A is Arab only, B is both, and C is controlled by Israel. So according to Resolution 242 of the UN, if there's not an entity willing to accept the land back for peace, then it's not illegal.
But why is there Area A, B, and C?
That's according to the Oslo Accords.
That was from the Oslo Accords?
Yeah, giving the Palestinian authority over Area A and some of Area B.
I see.
You understand?
I know. I don't know why they would agree to that, though.
A lot of people don't know why they would agree to that, because they want Palestine free. I mean, Maya el Maya Palestine Arabiya. That's the sentence.
If they want Palestine, they should want the whole West Bank, I would think.
Which created a lot of things, created a lot of issues, created intifadas, created stabbing
But
attacks, shooting
There's
attacks.
obviously the issue that the PA is not really a great government either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If there's no one to negotiate with, why do you think that we are the problem? You know? Because I would love to live with them. I would. But they would not love to live with me.
I think, I mean, you have to understand, though, that both people want all the land.
Not
Do you
true.
not think the majority of Israelis don't want the whole land of Israel?
Why would they give back Gaza to the Gazans if they want all of the land of Israel? Why would they give back
It's
Judea and
unfeasible
Samaria?
to-
Why would they give back Judea and Samaria, which is filled with holy sites, to the Jewish people, to the Palestinians, to the Arabs? Why would they do it if they want the whole thing?
They're trying. I believe they're trying to. I mean, there's 700,000 settlers in the West Bank.
In
You can say it's Area A.
in disputed territories, not in Area A, and not in areas that they're not allowed to be in. But at the end of the day, a Palestinian state was never established. Because a Palestinian state was never established, you can't say this place is occupied, because it's not a country. It has never been a country.
There's I can't remember his name, but there's a guy who said that the Palestinian national identity was created alongside the Israeli national identity.
Not true.
Because you can say that like 2,000 years ago, but we don't have. I mean, 2,000 years ago, sure there was an Israel, but I mean, it's like saying 2,000 years ago there was a Roman Empire. I mean,
These are quotes made by Arab leaders in 1937 and different years. So please tell me how it makes sense. The land called Palestine, the name Palestine that the Arabs today use for Palestine, is not an Arabic name, but adopted and adapted from a Latin Palestina. How can an Arab people have a Western name instead of one in their own language? Because the use of the term Palestinian for an Arab group is only a modern political creation without any historic or ethnic grounds, and did not indicate any people before 1967. This is an Arab writer.
Where does the name Palestine? Where does that come from, though? Which you said earlier.
From the Romans. The Romans called the name Palestine to mock the Jews after the Philistines. So they called it Palestine and Syria. Syria, Palestina.
Okay, I mean, still though, they were Arabs that were living there for however long. They were there. They were there.
It's not the point.
Okay.
These people did
That
not.
is the point, though. At the end of the day, the point is they were there. They want a country of their own. You want a country. Let's talk seriously about a two-state solution.
We did. We tried 6 times. 1937, 1948, 2000, 2005, 2008. We tried in 1967. We tried all the time, but they refuse. They don't want a two-state. They want the whole
You
state.
think so? Bibi, fucking Yoav Gallant want a two-state solution?
Right now, after the current situation, I don't think they want a two-state solution.
Yeah, you can say that, but they never want. Bibi never wanted a two-state solution. He's been in power for 16 years.
Right, but the last two-state solution that was offered was in 2008. Why did they refuse to that one, which offered a shit ton of land? Exactly what they wanted. Almost the 1967 border. Why did they refuse?
When you say almost,
Yeah, almost. I'm talking about 96% of the land. 96% of the land that they want. It's called the Camp David Summit in 2000.
Okay, 2000 Camp David Summit.
Yes.
With Ehud Barak.
Yes. According to Gilad Shaer.
I'll look back at it. Hey man, if I'm wrong, I will say 100% I was wrong. If I look back at the 2000 Camp David Summit, our thoughts and our opinions should be fluid. I have no problem saying that if Israel is really right, and I believe that they're really right, I have no problem saying that they're right, you know?
Yes.
That's the only way you move forward as a humanity.
I agree. But there's one thing you have to keep in mind. One thing. If you want your people to stop dying, you have to do only one thing, which is very simple to understand. Don't come after my people, and don't try to kill. Because the moment the Israeli people drop their weapons, what is going to happen to them?
But have you seen that graph of the deaths and injuries from the Palestinian-Israeli conflict? And it's just insanely lopsided.
If a person comes to stab me, am I allowed to kill him?
Okay, I understand.
They're also counting the people that are guilty of terrorist attacks. So yes, of course, you can't really tell the difference of right and wrong by comparing numbers, because otherwise we would have the same thing with the UK and Germany, you know, where they killed in Dresden over 2 million innocent civilians.
All right, let me ask you this then: How many civilians do you think have been killed in Gaza?
Civilians, I think, close to 18,000.
Okay. Do you see? Right. So 1,200 Israeli civilians were killed. Now 18,000 civilians are killed on the other side.
Again, I understand your point, but you can't compare. Because let's pretend that the Israelis.
Why can't I compare?
I'll tell you why. Because according to urban warfare statistics, a ratio of 1-7, 1-8, and 1-9 is acceptable in urban warfare, because it's such a crowded area, because it's really difficult to fight in urban warfare.
Accepted by who, though?
Accepted by international law.
Right, but what urban warfare has taken place in the last 20 years? Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yes, that's one of them.
Okay. Why was America in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Because of 9/11.
Right. Okay.
Because they told them that there was weapons of mass destruction in Afghanistan and Iraq, which they found nothing of.
They said that in Iraq, which was a lie.
Right.
We went into Afghanistan to fight the Taliban.
Right.
And Al Qaeda.
Right, but what was their ratio? Do you know?
Look what happened at the end, though. Look who rules Afghanistan now.
Right.
The Taliban.
Right, but still, what was the ratio of the American army fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan? The death toll. Do you know how many people died?
Yeah, but I don't think that was a justified war.
I agree with you. That's not the point. They had between 500,000 to 1 million deaths. Why was nobody around the world yelling that this was a genocide? Nobody was yelling that this was a genocide. It was a war. But when Israel is conducting a war with a ratio of 1 to 1.5 or 1 or 2, 1 to 2, for every one terrorist, 2 civilians die, or 1.5. You know, it's a really, really low ratio. Actually, the lowest one in history. You see that Israel is trying to do everything they can to minimize civilian casualties. They released 7.5 million text messages to civilians to let them know to evacuate. Have you ever wondered how they know exactly which building is going to be bombed, so they can place the camera exactly in front of the building that's going to be bombed? How do they know? How did they know?
What about the AI software, like Where's Daddy, where they wait for Hamas people to get home and then strike the building?
But they always send first of all, the goal is not to eliminate only Hamas people. It's also to eliminate Hamas infrastructure, meaning the rocket launchers or warehouses of explosives.
Do you think Gaza is a good place to live?
I saw many videos before October 7th in Gaza. Looks like a beautiful place. And that's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you Gaza before October 7th. You won't believe what it looks like. If the life in Gaza seemed like a good life, for many people that I saw, they said life in Gaza was peaceful, then why are you attacking? if life is peaceful, if you have
No, life's peaceful for the top dogs.
look at this, this was just a civilian.
Life's peaceful.
Are those Yeezys? I thought this was an open-air prison. How did it get in there?
Doesn't look like a top dog to me.
Is that a high-tech scale? I thought this was an open-air
That is
prison.
a rich
How
man
did
in
it get in
Gaza,
there?
bro.
Oh, there's
Seriously?
Weights? I
There's
thought
a
this was an
gym?
open-air prison. How did it get in there? No. Is that
It could be a
boba? I
rich
thought this
man.
was an
It could be a
open-air
rich
prison.
man for all
How
you
did
know.
it get
You
in
can't
there?
take this and... What do you think now? Why are you shaking your head?
Chocolate? I thought you guys said that there's no chocolate in Gaza. I thought this was an open-air
Look.
prison.
Alright. I get it. Can I say this, though?
sure.
Both people, both the Israelis and Palestinians, do you think they have valid claims in this conflict?
I think the only people that have a legitimate claim is the Israelis, not them, because otherwise they would have accepted the two-state solution that we put on the table for them. So I can't keep offering you, and you cannot keep refusing, because the moment you keep refusing, why would I believe you that you'll hold on your approval
On your end of the promise?
on your end of the promise? Yes.
I mean, I don't know much about the accept. I mean, you have to understand that I believe that the Israelis don't want a two-state solution either.
Right now, I don't want a two-state solution. You're right.
Neither. I think the only time they actually wanted a two-state solution was in the 90s when Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated.
So what was 2000 and 2008 and 2005?
I don't think Ehud Barak really wanted a two-state solution.
So why would he offer 96% of the?
I don't know. Why would Donald Trump offer half the shit he offers?
What do you
Why
mean?
would
All he
Barack
had to do,
Obama-
all Yasser Arafat had to do was to agree. All he had to do was to say, sure.
Hey man, I will go back and look at these.
Please,
these
please. You'll see I'm not 2000, 2008, 2005. But 2008 and 2000 are the biggest ones.
2008 and 2000 are the two biggest ones.
Yes.
Okay. Hey man, I will go back, look, and see.
Thank you for being open-minded and good questions. Like honestly, and I'm glad you're trying to dig into the topic. After you'll see the offers we offered in 2000 and 2008, you'll be like, holy shit, they are so stupid for not approving, for not agreeing.
I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to be fluid with my thought. That's the only way we can move forward as a humanity.
Perfect.